Various organizations, including the SACP, COSATU, TAC and others, have gathered in Cape Town ahead of the budget speech. The groups have formed a collective to demand from the government a financial outlook and plans that address the serious impact of budget cuts. South Africans are buckling under the pressure of the continuous escalation of the cost of living. SABC News reporter Mariska Botha has more on the story.
Well, as we're counting down to 2 o'clock, where that all-important budget speech will be delivered, many organizations have gathered not far from City Hall, where the budget speech will be delivered. As right now, in South Africa, the cost of living is rising at an astronomical rate, making it more and more difficult for people to live their daily lives in a manner that is sustainable for them. We speak now to the SACP's Secretary General, Solly Mapaia. Mr. Mapaia, thank you very much for joining us. What is the one thing that you would like to hear from this budget that would make sense for people on the ground?
Firstly, Mariska, is to appreciate the many organizations that are working together to call for a people's budget. We should respond to the high cost of living of the majority of our people, where the people can no longer afford food, basic necessities, water, electricity, housing rentals. Everything is just so expensive. So this high cost of living has become a crisis. So we are looking at government responding effectively to the problems of health in our country, of education, of supporting people to have access to free electricity and water, the poor, as well as responding to crime in our communities, funding the police, the teachers and everything else, because as we can see, there's been retrenchment of teachers in this country. And that is an attack on our education system and the future of our country. Creation of jobs through government programs becomes very important. In fact, we are looking at a government that can support a public economy. And we also have heard intentions to increase VAT. We have rejected that with the contempt that it deserves, because we think that's another instrument that attacks the poor who are cushioned in that particular space. We know that they always say they will exclude certain items from VAT or zero rate them and so forth, but it doesn't work. We need the poor to be wholly and fully protected, because the poor doesn't live, or people don't live only on food. You need clothing, you need many other items, and if those items have been increased by tax, their ability to afford is diminished. So it is in this regard that we've joined all these formations through a front, various trade union organizations, research institutions, community-based organizations, NGOs and so forth, which is now a movement that is going to contest the government's neoliberal policies and budget cuts that are affecting the people in favor of capital. Because we have seen government conceding all the time to the interests of capital to invest that, giving them tax breaks and so forth, when they should actually be building a public economy and respond to the needs of the people.
What is the foremost thing you'd like to hear from the minister today? What is the number one thing you would like to hear him say?
No privatization of basic services, and that there will be support for local governments to be able to also provide basic services to our communities, and no increase of VAT and no more budget cuts.
And this formation of yours of certain groupings, what will happen after we heard the budget today? Will we see you gathering and rallying again?
Yes, we have already established joint committees to work together going forward. As you can see, for instance, 2 big federations are here, and they've started this particular process. 2 more are joining today across the country, which is quite encouraging. We have the AITC, we have the Communist Party, several other organizations, professional bodies. So it's quite an amazing collaboration of various efforts. Yesterday, for instance, we had testimonies that were given by various sectors, the youth, the students, even medical professionals. The head of the sergeant divisions at Groote, for instance, gave an explicit explanation about how austerity measures and budget cuts are affecting health. And she said, I see people die as a surgeon. which could have been avoided because of budget cuts, because he's working at a public hospital. So we want to stop the government's violence against the people in this country.
Mr. Solima Paila, thank you so very much for your time. Appreciate it. The SACP is speaking there. You heard it. Very strong message, very serious about the issue, about the daily cost of living, number one, and the continuous cutting of budgets, as we've seen here in the Western Cape as well. Mr. Mapaia mentioning the laying off of teachers in the Western Cape. 2,400 posts are in jeopardy as a result of budget cuts across the country. So there are major issues that affect people, and as you heard in their collaboration of organizations will be working together to stem the tide, or to at least attempt to stem the tide of the cost of living that is making it near impossible for people to get through the month anymore and to survive.